Hey guys, this is a video I wish I wasn't making. It's about a health issue in AI, and it's about doctors and AI. And I'm going to make a comparison here that's not particularly favorable. And I don't like AI, and I wish I wasn't making this comparison, but I feel like I have to. So I've been dealing with a medical issue since I was 14. When I was 14, when I started riding a group ride when I was 14, and I really, even though I was a chubby, overweight, out of shape kid, I wanted to be like a bike racer, right? So when the bike racers showed up to group ride, which wasn't very often, we had a little group ride in Harrisburg. When these bike racers showed up and I tried to keep up with them, about 10 or so miles into the ride, I would start to, like, my left arm would feel like it was literally going to go numb. And that was usually when they decided to drop me, which they could have done earlier if they wanted to. So I didn't think a lot about it because it was very minor. It only happened when I was just like at the maximum limit. This is before heart rate monitors. I had no idea what kind of heart rate I was pushing. I just remember riding so hard that I felt like my left arm was not getting enough blood. At age 30, I started having similar feelings in the gym. So I didn't ride as much. I kind of took off riding during my college years. I started going to the gym around this time. And I always started off with like a 20-minute cardio workout on an elliptical machine. And usually I was fine, but I noticed that like every now and again, I would have like the same symptoms that I remembered having as a kid. My left arm kind of feeling a little numb, feeling a little weird. When I ramped up like around 120 beats per minute or something on the elliptical machine, and I'd have to kind of work my way through it, and it'd get better. And usually by the end of the workout, it was gone, and I'd go do weights and do whatever else. Around 2018, it seemed like it was getting worse. So now I'm around 40 years old, and now I'm going to spend a lot more time researching this stuff on the internet, and I've found out about angina, and I'm really worried about maybe I have some kind of heart problem or something's wrong, because like I'm getting this left arm tightness and it's kind of pushing into my shoulder sometimes, and my hand, and it's just something's wrong. I go to see my doctor. He orders a stress test. The cardiologist performs it. Kind of acts annoyed that like, why did this doctor order a stress test for you? You're not even seeing a cardiologist. But he performs the test. I have no problems whatsoever on the test. I run on the treadmill just fine, get my heart rate up. And they say, you have no problems. You're doing fine. And I'm like, okay. So I decide, I'm doing fine. The cardiologist said, no problems. 2020, I decide I want to train. I want to like race. I want to get fit. And in 2020, I start trying to do that. And it doesn't go great. I hire a coach. But the main problem I have is it's really tough to train because it seems like it would take me like an hour sometimes just to get over this left arm. Like I need to ride really slow for an hour. I start going to meet people for rides, and I'd show up like 45 minutes early just so I could ride around slow and then hopefully not get dropped and hopefully not deal with like all this tightness. I'm starting to now describe it almost like pain instead of like just tightness and stuff. So I saw another doctor, saw another cardiologist, more testing. And the result is, well, we don't know. You're fine. Take a beta blocker. I didn't want to take a beta blocker. I didn't feel like that would help me. And he couldn't explain to me why I should be taking a beta blocker. So I didn't. Just was like, fine, this is just something I got to deal with. It feels like it's not going away. It feels like if anything, it's getting worse. In 2024, I tried a different cardiologist. So a few years later, it's still bothering me. It seems like it's only getting worse every year. And this cardiologist again, okay, well, maybe you have something going on with your heart. Maybe you've got some vascular problems, microvascular problems in your heart. So we're going to check you out really good. More testing. The result is identical. She says, maybe you should take a beta blocker. We'd already had this discussion that I could just stop exercising hard and this wouldn't be a problem. If I go sometimes it even happens on walks though, especially if I feel like I'm a little bit more tired than normal, or like I've been kind of doing a little bit more than normal. So even just sometimes it happens on walks. It was happening when I was mowing the lawn a lot frequently over last summer. This cardiologist, again, not really very, very helpful. Not really, they haven't really offered me any real like idea of what could possibly the last time I met him. That's the other thing with this cardiologist. You see them about every 4 months. I turned to the internet more, and one idea I turned to was just posting on a Facebook road bike. And I had a lot of people respond. And of course, there's always somebody who says, you shouldn't be asking for medical advice on the internet. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. I really wish I wasn't. So one person says, have you ever tried taking the blood pressure in both your arms? And the cardiologist had done that one time when I was sitting at the office and they were fairly close. But this guy said, well, you should try taking the blood pressure in your arms and see what the difference is when you're riding hard, which Shauna helped me do. And we got the blood pressure cuff and we took that blood pressure. And guess what? At 145 beats per minute, so pretty hard effort, like tempo plus getting close to sweet spot maybe. My left arm, this one, the one that's always given me problems, was 140/86 blood pressure. My right arm was 190/90. It was like she was stunned by the difference trying to take the blood pressure. She's like, I can barely hear your pulse in your left arm, but in your right arm, it's just hammering. She's like, it's super clear. We did that like twice, and both times it come out the same. Then I got this idea to go to Deepseek. I've been seeing this new Chinese chat GPT AI large language model alternative, Deepseek, and I've kind of played around with these. They seem marginally useful, but I decided to go to Deepseek, and let's just go take a look and see what it actually says. Okay, hello, I'd like to describe a medical issue I'm having and get some feedback. And it tells me, of course, it's not a doctor. It's going to just give me advice, but I need to speak to doctors. I tell it I'm a 45-year-old male, bicycling for 30 years. I went very hard trying to keep up with a faster rider. I'd get a slight feeling in the left arm. And here's the first thing it pops out, okay? Nerve compression. Now, that's something I had been kind of asked about. Like, does this happen because your bike's not right? You're compressing your nerve. But it happens when I'm walking. It happens when I mow the lawn. It happens on multiple different types of bikes. It happens when I'm setting up on the bike. So, yeah, no. So this is something doctors ask me about. But that's his first thing. His second thing, bike fit, positioning. Yeah. So same sort of stuff. No. And then it comes up with circulatory issues. Okay. Reduced blood flow to the arm, especially during intense exertion, could cause numbness. And it talks about tight clothing, poor posture, cardiovascular issues. And then it also comes up with thoracic outlet syndrome. Now, here's one that doctors have mentioned occasionally, but they seem to think, no, you don't have it because my blood pressure was the same in both arms, just sitting around. And then it also comes up with some more cardio problems. Like its last thing it comes up with is cardiac considerations. So like heart issues is the last thing it considers. And then I go ahead and add some more information, explain to it that I've had stress tests, echocardiograms. I don't have heart issues that they can find. I went ahead and explained a few more things and talk about my blood pressure being high or normal during exercise in my right arm, but very low in my left arm. And then it takes that information and nicely tells me, thank you for more details. And then it says, okay, I see you have a blood pressure discrepancy. You have symptoms. He explains the symptoms. And then the first thing it comes up with is subclavian artery stenosis or occlusion. All right. So maybe there's actually something wrong with the artery taking blood to the arm. It could be blocked or occluded in some way. And like, that's nothing anybody has ever mentioned to me. Subclavian artery, it's in my left arm. So they've never thought that or never mentioned that to me. Okay, thoracic outlet syndrome again. Okay, now it's starting to think it sounds more like thoracic outlet syndrome. And it goes over the difference between venous, artery, or nerve thoracic outlet syndrome. And then it talks about aortic co-articulation or artation or vascular anomalies, narrowing of the aorta or other major blood vessels, which cause uneven blood flow between the arms. Very uncommon. And then PAD, peripheral artery disease, which is essentially it's kind of like that stenosis. You have something wrong with your arteries. They're built up a plaque in them and your blood's not going good to them. So it gives me all kinds of things to do. So I told my cardiologist, I'd sent them a message since you don't get to see them. I had sent them a message and they ordered with talking about how, hey, when I'm exercising, my left arm has really low blood pressure at first. It gets better, but at first it has really low blood pressure for like anywhere from half an hour to an hour. And they sent me for a carotid artery imaging, which was fine, didn't have any problems. So, but yeah, so this is also really interesting. I asked, okay, could any of the possible causes improve during exercise? Usually after about an hour, the symptoms improve for presenting around 130 beats per minute to 160 beats per minute. So when I'm riding hard, I don't have this problem anymore, usually after about an hour. And he goes, yes, it's possible for some of the causes of your symptoms to improve during exercise. And he gives me reasons, like if it's TOS, why it would, so warmed up muscles and blood flow, blood vessels will relax, reducing compression on nerves or blood vessels in the thoracic outlet, and increase blood flow, which would alleviate the symptoms. So yeah, and then it talks about a collateral circulation where blood would find a way around blocked vessels if there was a stenosis or compression, or that would relax. The autonomic nervous system will adapt and improve blood flow over time to that area is another possibility. Just talks about warmed up muscles, warmed up, improved blood flow might make that better. So it takes a while for that to happen. And when it does, it get better. So it explains that that's probably why my symptoms get better. Now, both times when I've talked to my cardiologist about this, both times they just seem to be completely at a loss of how these symptoms can get better. So yeah, I mean, it gives me like a list of like what diagnostics I should do, Doppler ultrasound on the subclavian and brachial arteries. CT angiography is perhaps even better, MR angiography. So it gives you like, okay, and then I need to probably see somebody perhaps with experience with thoracic outlet syndrome, and talks about maybe seeing a vascular specialist. Is this not like a horrible thing to just say like AI is probably better than humans in this as diagnosing medical issues? I mean, like I would expect that people who specialized in the cardiovascular system would maybe be a little bit more able to like go over some of these issues. But this is better than any of the consultations I've had. Like it's miles better. This Deepseek Chinese AI has been way more. Now, it could be completely wrong. Maybe it's something else. But I mean, it almost feels like it's got to be one of these things. Whereas the cardiologists, I've seen both of them, are just like, here's a beta blocker, take this pill and quit exercising so hard and you'll get over this, or don't worry about it because you're fine. Like, I think the problem, and I, again, this is just my opinion, I don't know, but it seems like they're in their wheelhouse, the heart. They want to look at your heart. They want to look at the big arteries coming off your heart. And if they don't see a problem with that, then instead of being like, well, we need to send you somewhere else, it's just like, you're fine. It's like they don't have any imagination. They don't have any. It's like all the testing that I've done, the stress testing stuff, it's always been on a treadmill. It's never been on a bike. And I mean, I have it sometimes walking. I have it, but like they never thought to like take my blood pressure in different arms when I was like, say, maybe walking or running or something. So I'm just like, I feel like they're following this like very limited book of possibilities and testing that they run. That PET testing that they had me do recently, PET testing, it was vastly more expensive than any other type of test that I've had. And again, I'd already had nuclear medicine imaging on my heart not that long ago that showed no problems, and I'm having the same symptoms. So I guess my next step is going to be to try to see a vascular person and try to figure out if there's something. But the sad thing is that possibly if I do have thoracic outlet syndrome, there may not be a whole lot that I can do, because other than like when I've kind of read about it, usually the surgery, there's some other treatments that are possible, but the actual surgery is to take out a piece of your rib and make a larger opening here. One thing that I've been experimenting with that seems to be helping a lot is I've actually been just working this arm out, like working it out a lot, which I don't know why I didn't think to do this before, but like I've been doing a lot of like not bench presses, but like curls. I'll get on the trainer and I'll just start doing curls until I just can't hardly even, like this arm is just like, and I think that seems to be helping more than anything, like, because it seems like it's opening up the blood flow a little bit more to this arm, where it's not causing me this like agonizing feeling of like, oh, my arm's going to pop off because it's not getting any blood. It's like I said, it feels like somebody's just squeezing this. So I'll just start doing these curls and lifting and stuff like that. So ultimately, maybe I can see somebody that can help me. But right now I'm thinking that I'm mostly on my own on this, and maybe it'll get better. But luckily my health problems are pretty minor. I've been performing pretty well. My FTP seems to be on its way up, and I haven't had any heart attacks or pass out or anything lately on the bike. So I've been feeling better in the last month or so this on the trainer. So anyway, that's my long drawn out video about AI, and honestly, I think it's probably going to do a better job diagnosing you than most doctors are, sadly. See ya.